Okay, what's up, Earth Stars? My name is Nova2Serious, and you are reaching me in the place where I channel my energy. And welcome. So today, what I'm talking about is something that is really interesting to me. And last week, I posted a video about my career as an artist in Mississippi and how that looks. And right now, I'm still going with it. I'm going with the flow and everything. But it's like the more that I work, the more attention I put towards that, the more of a diversion I get, where motivations change. Like I have to do other things in order for me to feel like I'm actually doing something. And it's not that I don't feel like I'm doing anything with me doing my art. It's just sometimes it gets to a point where like doing a lot of the same thing that doesn't really make a difference, because that's how it's supposed to be seen. It's supposed to be seen as me not making a difference. But doing a lot of the same things, trying to make a difference but not really making a difference, I think that's what was getting to me. So yeah, that's why it's not really me taking a break. It's just me, you know, kind of trying to relax, get my mind together, get my thoughts together. And while I do that, sometimes I just like look at other people's stuff. I read videos, stuff. I talk to people about things. Sometimes I talk to people in public. Sometimes, I don't. And I don't know how those conversations go in public, but I do what I do. Man, look at my hair. I know it's funny. I know it's funny. I don't know. Wanted something different, so I'm just playing, doing life. All right, that's the first half. So today I want to talk about motivational psychologist. Sorry, 420 is still messing with me a little today. But anyway, motivational psychologists. So, the motivational psychologists are people that do psychology based off of self determination. And the theory of how people are determined on their own time. And they came up with these two things, two different types of motivation. They came up with autonomous motivation and control motivation. Control motivation is where you're doing something inside of an environment where you have to do something in order to get the reward. You have to do it in order for you to get done, and that's the motivation of the person that is discerning what they want to do. Whether they want to do it or not, and it just changes the motivation. Then there's autonomous motivation. Autonomous motivation is the ability to focus emotionally, to you know resonate with what you're doing and have the motivation to do that, or have the reason to be yourself authentically while you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? If it's hard to explain, which is probably why they're psychologists and I'm not. But I saw this is interesting, and the reason I wanted to talk about it is because of how all this information is being used, and I don't feel how I feel when I don't feel about these informations, because the thing is, like, what have I been motivated to do? They've been learning this stuff for 40 years. I'm only 33. It's like they figured out these. And then you look at my history. I'm talking about art, trying to do art. You look at what's going on. It's like, what is really going on? Yeah, you got autonomous motivation, and then you got control motivation. Like, I feel like I'm autonomously motivated, which is probably why I'm that big of a target. Why? Where would I get this idea from? Anyway, so autonomous motivation is broken off into two different motivations: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is like a lead to consequence. Basically, you only doing this because you don't want to get caught up. You don't want to get in trouble. You're only doing it because they say that there's a lot of controlled motivation out there, but then there's other people that have autonomous motivation, but this autonomous motivation is not intrinsic motivation, which intrinsic motivation is having the interest in the enjoyable sense of doing these things. So there's two types of being autonomously motivated, and I think that that is the borderline of how people are being not really motivated but manipulated. I would say manipulated, because motivation is also based off of, the reasons that things are getting done. And right now, I'm motivated to expose and divulge the truth because that is all I have. I don't have anything. I do have a little bit of money here and there, but that's not my money. Like all any kind of anything, everything here is not mine. The only thing I'm in control of is this body and the way that the energy comes out this body, and that's my motivation. So autonomously, I'm trying to figure out how I can maneuver through the world without breaking the laws of the land. The laws of the land is what's keeping us here. So why would you break the laws of the land? When they talk about the laws of the land, they're not just talking about the rules that mankind came up with. They also talk about elements. Because if you walk yourself through fire, if you walk through fire and you think that you not gonna burn, you gonna learn. So, like if you walk yourself through water and you think that you're gonna have oxygen the whole way through, shit, you might be flubber or like a flopper, like a fish or something. You might be one of them, but I would never know. I would never know because I wouldn't put myself in that position because I know the rules, the laws, and I haven't exceeded those things yet. I haven't went into those realms. So as I work, we'll find out. What am I talking about? I'm just talking about motivation, man. That's it. I'm just saying there's so many different types of motivation. And why do I have to be motivated with controlled motivation? People that are inside of a controlled environments. How come I have to look at my motivation as the motivation that people have in a controlled environments? Yeah, they seem like they're extrinsic in their own way. Like they're they're only doing this because they know that there's a consequence in the end game. But I'm talking about intrinsic. I'm talking about being, you know, in love with the things that I do, the things that I care about, trying to make a change in the life that I live instead of trying to change somebody else's life from my life to be lived. I don't understand what I'm saying. I'm just talking really. So they said, let me break it down. So they said when it comes to effective motivation for somebody to be effectively motivated, you have to look at the circumstances. The circumstances are if there's a leader, there's a leadership, some type of leadership, like a parent, teacher, employer, you know what I mean? Even government, officials. But it's a circumstance. That's where the circumstance starts, is with those and how they lead, how they guide, you know, the environment that they're leading, whether it's a mayor, sergeant, whatever. Um, and the circumstances come with how they learn, how they're playing, like what kind of recreation there is, and performance overall. And I mean, all of that stuff is basically supporting, a psychological need. It's supporting the needs that people need psychologically. And they say that basic psychological needs evolve around competence. So basically, when it comes to effective motivation, that all depends on leadership. And when you're looking at basic psychology needs in general, there's a need that everybody needs. Like everybody needs this basic type of psychology in order for you to, be able to have the motivation that you need inside of the environment you're in. And that's competence, having the ability to be confident about where you are, what you're doing. Then after that would be relatedness, feeling relative or related to the things that you're doing or trying to get done, inside of a goal group or community, even all kinds of stuff. And then autonomy, which is what we're talking about, and that's the optimal wellness or performance that a person could possibly get to during motivation. So it's either being related or having the confidence that you're a part of something, and having the ability to create autonomy, which is a self-discerning measurement. And I feel like that's what I'm forcing myself into, not necessarily intentionally. I didn't know much about what autonomy and motivation meant. I didn't even know to put those words together, but now I, see what they're talking about when they say effective motivation, because it's all circumstantial. It's all based off of the leadership. Yes, everybody is entitled to their, you know what I mean, their basic psychology needs, but they those things get switched out sometimes, and it's all based off of how you're leading and guiding in the outcome of what you expect when it comes to the circumstances, because it's all circumstantial, really. It's all based off of how you're benefiting from that, motivation, or what kind of effect it has, or if it's the effective motivation that you would like to have in order for you to be able to, conclude that there's just not that type of motivation inside this area, or this area is way more motivated than this area, even though they have all the ancestral gains, or genetics, whatnot. It has nothing to do with, what is the most effective. But it also has to do with, what you're learning, how you're playing along the way, if it's something that you enjoy, if it's a recreational thing to you, or if you're, just performing and you want to try to get something like done, and you're inside of a controlled environment, then you will have some form of like controlled motivation. But when it comes to effective motivation, it has to do with the ability to be autonomous, and that's what they really really look for nowadays when it comes to motivation, is the intrinsic autonomous motivation, and extrinsic autonomous motivation. And extrinsic autonomous motivation is something that, is consequential. It's all based off of what you are going to get in the end, like depending on how you do it. If it's beneficial while you're doing it, and then if you're going to benefit at the end of it, which is, the extras extrinsic motivation, yeah. And then so the intrinsic motivation is the one that they say is, I would say, the most effective motivating source, which is what they do now. And it's called, um intrinsic motivation. And basically it heightens your um interest and your enjoyable sense, inside of like what you're being motivated. Like, you don't even have a reason to be motivated inside this stuff, but when you try to, like, be a part of it, it's like the intrinsic motivation is where you recognize it as something that's yours, that you did, something that, like, you basically take in a job duty. You're doing the duty, you love the duty, you love what you're doing, and then at the end, you gain the reward. But that's not the reason you did it. That wasn't the motivation. The motivation was the joy of doing it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where intrinsic motivation is. And I think that's what a lot of us have been kind of brainwashed into like following, because effective motivation is, good and all, but what are you being motivated to do? That's the real question. And as I learn and continue to live and do the things I choose to do, it's like I'm learning a lot more about what the motivations of American, value is, and how that is used for maybe capital gain, or not even just capital gain, but just personal, you know, um, possessiveness, personal possessions, like people, seeing a body and wanting to control that body. And, that's where all this comes from. Like, the only real reason that these people decided to test motivations is so that they can control people, and it has nothing to do with self gain, self growth. And they spent 40 years looking and studying this. This man said he was a doctor. He was a motivational psychologist. His name is Edward D.C. He said he was a motivational psychologist, and his job was to develop, test, refine, and elaborate a theory of motivation and developness and wellness, and that's self-determination. Then he also added that Richard Ryan was the real one that came up or focused or studied on extrinsic motivation, which is, claiming the ownership over the motivations that they have. and they value it as their own, and it's just really crazy how you can make somebody do something that they don't want to do, and then also get them to love it and continue to do it. That's just crazy to me. But I just be talking. I just be talking. Psychologists doing all this stuff. You got RNAs, DNAs. You got 5G. You got Wi-Fi that can literally pinpoint what part of the house you're in because of your body heat. Like, man, they got all these robot dogs in China, and the whole AI thing, like them putting all of their students, all of their kids into an AI course. Like everybody in China is in an AI course, from what I heard. And where's the future going? Like, what kind of future is this? I don't know, man. I'm just talking about motivations. Use your motivations how you want to use your motivations. Don't let somebody push you into an extrinsic motivational mood. You know, do your thing. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my thing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Finish the video.